was founded in 1614. It's the year that Suleiman Pasha Muleti built a mosque, later to be destroyed during World War II, a bakery, and a hammam. Some old photographs of the city show the Palace of Culture. It's built on the site of the old Bazaar of Tirana, and the cornerstone was laid by Nikita Khrushchev in 1959. The city of Tirana is mentioned for the first time in a document of the Republic of Venice, dated 1418. Two of the oldest neighborhoods were Muyo and Bazaar. As a capital since 1920, its most distinctive elements are the Palace of Culture, Hotel Tirana International, National Museum, Bank of Albania, and the Clock Tower. This should be the Clock Tower, a symbol of Tirana and the emblem of the municipality. It is built in 1830 in carved stone and wood with a spiral staircase of 90 stairs and stands 35 meters high. Until 1970, it was the tallest building in the city. The first bell was brought from Venice and tolled every hour. Haji Ethan Bey started to construct the Clock Tower, but construction was complete after the richest families of Tirana contributed. This is the emblem of the municipality since the year 2000. It derives from the emblem of the Skurai family, ruler of the city during the Middle Ages. Traces of this emblem are found in stones near Daiti Mountain. It shows the clock tower and a crown made of 3 towers, the latter being a common symbol of emblems of the cities. The Italian-style architecture that is still visible dates back to the years 1920 to 1940, when Ahmed Zogu, the king back then, commissions Italian architects De Fausto and Brassini to draft projects of parks and gardens in Tirana so that the city becomes more aristocratic. In addition to the rational architecture and city planning, the Italians paid tribute to the Albanian psychology and tradition related to private property. Tirana is 17 kilometers from the only international airport in the country, Rinus. It's the biggest economic, administrative, political, industrial, academic, social, and cultural center. You can see the Rinia Park among the administrative buildings along the boulevard. This 29-hectare park is built in the 1950s. Every 14th of March, it hosts the celebrations of Summer Day, which represents the end of winter. Right in the middle of the park, I see the 60-year-old Taiwan, a restaurant named after the relations between Albania and China, as Albania was the first country to recognize the independence of Taiwan. In Tirana, you can travel by bus, or you can take a taxi. Instead, I rented a bicycle after paying a modest sum of money and showing my ID. Several stations like this are part of a green initiative launched by a group of young people. I start my promenade along the Lana River, a branch of Tirana River. It's 29 kilometers long, flowing through the city, and at the end, meeting the river Ishmi. In the 40s, given that only the first part of the urban regulatory plan was executed, namely the buildings of ministries, the foundations were set for renovating projects south of the Lana. Architects Gerardo Bossia and Gio Ponti, world-renowned for their modern European style, were the ones to design the official headquarters of the King's Vice-Regent in Albania, the building of the Prime Minister today. During the war, this building was used as the administrative headquarters and, in its last months, as a military hospital due to the lack of space for the treatment of wounded German soldiers. Since April 1945, the Communist Party decided that this building would be the basis of government. The building of the Prime Minister's office and that of Parliament are opposite one another. They're built in the style of monumental rationalism with a touch of fascist ideology in its architecture. The Dictatorship Memorial, also known as the Post-Bloco installation, was erected in March 2013. The monument consists of 3 historic buildings: a bunker, symbol of communist dictatorship, concrete pillars brought there from Spača prison, known as the Albanian Auschwitz, and a piece of the Berlin Wall that symbolized Albania's isolation from the rest of the world. In my stroll along the boulevard, a particular building emerges in front of me. It's the Palace of Congresses. It looks like a modern combination of blue glass with 1,000 windows of Barat or Gjirokastër, with its radial sides, angled windows, etc. It was regarded as an architectural achievement of the 1980s. Facing the presidential building. This is the southeastern extreme of the boulevard. Nana Teresa Boulevard consists of buildings of the Academy of Arts, the Academic House of Stage, Visual, and Musical Arts. Polytechnic University, built in 1957 as a borderline between the park surrounding the artificial lake and the Tirana urban life, standing as an architectural symbol of the city, and the Archaeological Museum. This boulevard has welcomed protests, the Pope, demonstrations, and since 2015, it welcomes only pedestrians. Behind it, there's Mustafa Stadium, inaugurated in 1946 for the Balkan Cup, won that year by Albania. It can accommodate 19,700 spectators for sports events, until 2016 at least, when it will be brought down to make place for a new one. The Archaeological Museum you cannot miss. The ancient Illyrian history must be documented in this institution that dates back to 1948 and counts about 18,000 objects, including sculptures and fine artifacts of the Stone Age and the Metal Age, when the Illyrian civilization was born and developed. It also shows the early and late antiquity and the medieval period up to the Ottoman conquest. This is the first museum established after World War II. Organized in 5 rooms, this museum presents the archaeological searches and findings from the entire territory of Albania. The National Arts Gallery extends over 5,003 square meters. Since its opening in 1946, it has hosted around 4,100 works of art of Albanian and foreign authors, spanning from the 13th century to today. Murat Toptani Street is called the heart of Tirana. Right here, east, west, south, and north meet. It's also been the old station of a historic Egnatia Road. Here you see the Byzantine remains of Justinian's castle of 520 AD, also known as the Tirana Castle. The castle has 3 towers and a vivid life within the enclosure with restaurants, hotels, and cultural institutions. Tirana began to develop in the 16th century with some workshops that processed silk, cotton, leather, ceramics, metals, and others. The first neighborhood of Tirana was Bami. Tirana only had 25,000 inhabitants until 1838, while today it counts more than 1 million. This seems to be the area with the most historical imprints. Here is the Tabak Bridge. Built in 1614 to connect the 2 sides of Lana, where leather workers called Tabakan carried on with their craft. The cobbled footpath is 2.5 meters wide, built with river stones laid haphazardly to raise it to 3.5 meters from the water level. It's evidence of the development of the city and increased communication within inner areas. I'll easily continue my journey toward the southeast. 18 kilometers from the center of Tirana, there's Petrela village. This area is known for medicinal plants. Petrela Castle rises at the foothill, a medieval castle built during the reign of Byzantine Emperor Justinian I in the 4th century AD. He built this fortress as part of the defense system of the empire. It took its current shape in the 13th century under the rule of Topia, and later ownership passed to the Castrioti family. The castle rises from the rocky hill and has a triangular shape with its spotting tower. Inside, it still preserves objects that are a testimony of life back then. For its construction, well-baked bricks were used and waterproofing mortar that served for plastering. Constructions inside the castle were made during 6 different periods, as clearly stated by the construction techniques used. The castle was built on a very steep slope, even rugged on the south and southeast side, making it very secure. It was raised at 329 meters, mainly for military purposes. Petrella Castle served to control the Egnatia Road along the Durrës-Tirana-Elbasan segment, particularly important at the time. And the first emblem of the Topia family on one side of the wall is still preserved. Today, there's a restaurant inside the castle that offers a spectacular view of the Urzeni Valley, olive trees, and surrounding mountains. It is said that in clear weather, the Petrella, Preza, and Crui castles could spot smoke signals they used for military communication among them during the Ottoman invasion, when it was governed by Mamica Castrioti, the sister of national hero Skanderbeg. Atop the Petrella Castle, you can easily see Preza Castle, even this owned by the Topia family. Since 1500, this castle was built with 4 towers, one being the clock tower. Years later, a mosque was built inside as a symbol of religious affiliation. Situated close to the airport, this is another cultural monument at the outskirts of Tirana. Inside the restaurant, one can enjoy the view of Tirana Air Traffic Plateau. After a long day around the attractions of Tirana, the pleasure of Mediterranean cuisine is what you need. Albanian cuisine is considered very diverse, with the influence of invaders, tourists, and host countries of Albanian immigrants. Albanians are fans of good food, and for visitors as well, the kitchen is one of the values they rush to taste. The multitude of bars and restaurants is an indication of that. Following the local tip, I decided to go to the opera this evening. The first play staged on the Opera and Ballet Theater is Rusalka in 1953. This is the stage where the ballet troupe, the symphonic orchestra, and the national ensemble perform. The artistic season usually kicks off in October and lasts until May. Tirana is a happy spirit that rarely stops. Bustling streets turn into a spectacle of lights and people in their get-together social rituals. Afternoons are the best option for socialization. Streets are swamped with people walking, sitting in bars, or having snacks. One of the most famous habits here is beer with meatballs. These bars providing light meals are typically found anywhere. As the Albanian tradition goes, people get together to meet and get updated about each other's lives. If you visit Tirana, you can hardly not hear about Bloku. Bloku is the liveliest area of Tirana. It's the known place of entertainment for young people. Bars, pubs, restaurants, shops, and discos are located in this area, composed of one main street and 4 alleys that intersect among them. I must just choose where to have a cocktail or a beer with high music to close my tourist day. puzzling Albanian habits is the domestic currency, the lek. They read it with an extra zero than written. So, a 500 lek banknote is massively read as 5,000 lek. This is a habit that's gone on for 50 years. The name of the currency makes honor to Alexander the Great, with the abbreviation in Albanian as leka. For the first time, Albania had a central bank in 1913. The building of the Bank of Albania was designed by the famous Italian architect Vittorio Marpurgo. Bank of Albania